everybody, welcome back to Source to Movies, where we take a look at the source material and see if the studios used it correctly. I'm Josh, and this is Earl. How's it going?
How you doing? Pretty good.
Pretty good. Alright, so this episode is going to be our part 3 in our 4-part series, The Fantastic Four, What Happened? And this episode we're going to be talking about the Fantastic Four, Rise of the Silver Surfer, the one that Fox did a few years ago, I do believe. And next week is going to be Fan Four Stick. And we all know how that went.
Yeah.
So, Earl, why don't you give us a bit of a backstory for the for this story, because it's the Silver Surfer and Galactus story. So, what issues were those in the comics?
Issue number 48 and 49. It all started. Basically, you didn't get much about Silver Surfer's past. Mm-hmm. They went ahead and did a lot of that later. But what you find out is there's this guy comes to Earth on a surfboard, of all things.
Yeah.
And he's like shining silver, and he comes to Earth, and he's there to usher in the coming of Galactus. And Galactus is this, omnipotent being who goes around from various planet to planet, consuming all of its natural resources and just leaving the planet there, a dying husk. So Surfer ends up coming to Earth and runs into the Fantastic Four. And they end up fighting him off. And what ends up happening is he talks, much like in the movie. They did do this in the movie.
Yeah. Sue
Storm kind of, shows him about humanity and everything. And tries to get him to be compassionate towards the humans because, if the planet dies, everybody on there is going to die. Well, originally his origin was about, there was this planet, and, let's see, forget the name of it, but he was on there, his name was Norn Rad, and, the planet was lush, growing with life, humanoids everywhere, and one day Galactus came to him, was going to destroy it. So what he told Galactus was, he's like, if you spare my planet, I will go out there and search planets for you. So he goes, he goes, I will be your herald. So Galactus imbues him with power, and then kind of like it stripped him of his humanity.
Yeah. And
his compassion. So he was going out various planets, finding places for Galactus basically to feast on. So they get to Earth. Sue Storm, tries to reinstill compassion into him, and it works. So he defies Galactus. And they start fighting Galactus, and they actually end up with a weapon called the Ultimate Nullifier, which can destroy any and every, anything it touches.
More or less Reed Richards' bluff.
Yeah.
Biggest bluff ever.
So he points it at Galactus. Galactus knows what it is, and he backs off. So, and then for his betrayal, he dooms the Surfer to be forever exiled to Earth. Yeah. And he always tried to leave the planet, but never could find a way to leave, or why he was being kept there. They didn't do that you didn't find out until 1987.
Okay, cool. So in the movie, we start out with it's Reed and Susan's wedding. So the wedding of Mr. and Mrs. Fantastic. I thought it was an interesting start because we got to see them have their romance in the movie, and now we get to see it more or less come to full. What'd you call it? Full circle. Full circle, but we never got an actual wedding, first off, because Silver Surfer comes, Galactus is coming, he's heralding, he's putting these weird giant holes into the Earth because Galactus needs to feed. So basically we get Dr. Doom over here trying to talk to not Galactus, Silver Surfer. Silver Surfer just pushes him with, I think, a power cosmic or whatever, and just so now the Fantastic Four have to align themselves with Dr. Doom to stop the Silver Surfer. Oh yeah, there's this guy called Galactus. He's coming somewhere at the end of the movie.
And all Doom wanted was the Surfer's powers.
Oh yeah, and so now yeah, now Doom has the Surfer's powers, and the Fantastic Four have to defeat him once again
Yeah. It's funny because the Stan Lee cameo in that movie, he cameoed
as himself.
as himself. But in the first movie, he was Willie Lumpkin, the mailman. So he couldn't even get in the wedding, because the guest list and everything didn't have him on it.
I'm Stan Lee. No, you're not. I'm Stan Lee.
And there was even a rumor that Fox wanted Spider-Man swinging across the skyline, and Sony said no. But that's just a rumor that came out around the movie.
That would
It'd
have been cool.
nice.
Yeah. So let's get into new characters because we've already seen the Fantastic Four. What did you think of the Silver Surfer?
Visually looked well. Liked it.
Mm-hmm. What did you think of the voice?
Great voice casting. You can't go wrong with Lawrence Fishburne.
No, you can't.
Him, James Earl Jones, anybody with that deep, powerful, commanding voice.
I am your father. Spoiler alert.
Yep.
I loved it. I think they could have done maybe a little more. The movie was probably a little short, but then again, you didn't have much to work with story-wise from the comics. But from what they did with the character, I think it was pretty decent.
Mm-hmm.
Not the best, but it was decent enough.
Yeah, my fault with the movie wasn't the surfer himself. No. It was more like the first movie with just some of the acting by the main cast.
Mm-hmm. And what did you think about Galactus? That big billowing cloud in the space.
Well, with that was more of the ultimate Galactus, which was a swarm of robotic insects that were coming to ravage Earth, kind of like a swarm of locusts.
Mm-hmm.
I can understand that. There was also rumors that at part when you saw the cloud, in the center was actually Galactus himself.
Which I don't think we ever saw.
The big humanoid and everything with the helmet. How frightening would a 40, 50 story guy in a purple and blue armor be?
Well, if it was modernized, made it to look right, you could be pretty menacing.
Yeah, it's just, how do you put a humanoid form of Galactus? Because the way it is, Galactus has no specific or intrinsic shape. He is whatever race he is, whatever planet, assimilating, or destroying their world. They see him a certain way, so they saw him as a giant human, which is not his real form.
Interesting. We never saw him very much, only in the last 5 minutes of the movie, so I really can't say much, but I didn't like it. It wasn't the Galactus I was looking for. It was a big, giant space cloud that went poof. What did you think of Fox basically bringing in Super Skrull with having all the Fantastic Four give Johnny their powers and to defeat Doom?
I think it's kind of a cop-out.
Yeah, cop-out.
I really do, because there could have been so many more other ways. The Fantastic Four, Sue especially, of everyone, is potentially the most powerful person on that team, depending on how she uses her powers.
Yeah.
I mean, she could take a force field about the size of a pea.
And just explode your head.
Yeah, put it in your mouth and just like that. And, I mean, I understand it's killing, and you don't want to do that. But she could have took a force field, put it, somewhere.
She could have lobotomized Doom.
Yep, she could have done that. Anything, you don't have to kill him, but you could, pretty much incapacitate him. Right? How about make a force field with an opening, put his arm into the opening and shut it, cut it off.
Yeah.
You don't kill him, and have Johnny cauterize the wound and be done. But yeah, giving Johnny here, take our powers and go defeat him. Yeah, well, that is better than Reed coming up with a device that would stop Dr. Doom instantly.
Yeah, Ultimate Nullifier would be just... if they had brought in the Ultimate Nullifier, it'd just be like maybe a 45-minute movie.
Yeah,
probably.
Could have been like point, go away, and he goes away.
Yeah. So, I guess for that, it's they did what they did, and we can't really change it, because you We don't have a time machine. We don't have a TARDIS.
I think that's why you also had such a big gap between the last movie and the more recent one, which we'll talk about next week.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah.
But I think that movie had done so poorly, and they didn't know which way to go. And they were coming up on their time. From what I understand about the contracts, if they have to have a movie in production by a certain time frame, or the rights will revert back to Marvel, which Marvel wants.
Yeah, and the Fan 4-stick movie was just basically a cash grab.
And, I think, this is just my opinion, I think right now, with rights, held, for a lot of characters from Marvel, held at Fox and Sony. Sony and Marvel have their working relationship now with Spider-Man.
Yeah, they're going strong.
And Daredevil and Ghost Rider and all these other characters are back. So you just have Fox left with the X-Men and the Fantastic Four. I think right now, as far as rights reverting back to Marvel for Fantastic Four, I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're seeing now with Deadpool coming out and making about $150 million over 4 days.
Yeah.
You don't need Wolverine to make this kind of money. So they might go and look at all the characters that they have in Fantastic Four that they have in that license. Maybe go in and pull out some characters. They talked about Surfer movie at one point. You could actually go ahead and just take some of their villains. I think maybe a Johnny Storm movie on its own might be good depending on how you play it.
Don't they have a Power Pack as well?
They may. That would be a good one for kids.
Yeah.
Kids love and see other kids, like Spy Kids.
Yeah, they could make a live action or animated.
And I just think, dig into the characters you have rather than just, let's focus on these four. Do something else with it. I mean, if Marvel didn't have an X-Men movie coming out, they had Deadpool coming out, which is all lumped into those rights.
Yeah.
That would have been the one to extend the license.
Fox is doing fantastic with the X-Men right now.
Yep.
So I don't see them giving those back anytime soon.
And
At all.
There's rumored heat between Marvel and Fox. Marvel wants their rights back, and Disney. Fox is like, no, we want to keep it a little bit longer, and it makes sense. If you're paying the rights to anything, and you're making money off of it, and you're not going in the red, why would you want to give them back?
Yeah, definitely. So for Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer, did you think this was as good as the source material, decent with what they could do, or just absolute garbage?
Decent.
Decent?
Yep.
Alright, so there you have it. The movie was decent. I think it was decent. It's a good guilty pleasure movie. Both these movies are good guilty pleasure movies.
Yep.
Yeah.
And as far as I know, you can get them on Blu-ray. It's a double set. It's supposed to be pretty cheap.
Oh yeah, definitely gonna get that. So stay tuned next week where we will talk about the atrocious Fan 4-stick movie. I am Josh and that is Earl, and we will see you guys next week. Bye!